Hey, what's up guys, Bajheera here. Happy Valentine's Day from Jenny and I. And as your present, because I love you all so very much, I'm going to be going over my gemming, my reforging, and my talents for my warrior right now in patch 5.1. So, just before I get into this kind of video, I don't normally make these a ton because I don't want to feel like I'm telling you how to play the video game. So I'm going to just approach this as like, this is what I do. If you're interested, here it is. So, my general thought behind how I build my warrior is my stats pretty defensive. Right now I've got a lot of resilience. PvP power is a really fun stat. It makes you hit really hard in BGs, get huge numbers, and that's something I love to do for videos. But if you're going to be seriously competing as a warrior, or really as anything in World of Warcraft right now, I think resilience is going to be your best friend. Resilience and defensive play and defensive like speccing of your warrior really synergizes well with your abilities as a warrior. And I don't mean hanging back and like not doing much, because it's actually the exact opposite. By being tanky, by being in defensive stance, by being just loaded with resilience, you can stick on your target and be in the fight the whole time and not have to worry about taking so much damage. You have to pull back, let your healer top you off, and then get back in the fight. It's going to increase your uptime, it's going to increase your damage, and it's going to increase your pressure if you have a more defensive mindset, at least in terms of your stats. So, and this is going to hold true. My warrior is fully geared, fully upgraded, you know, best of the best gear right now. But this is going to apply to you if you've just leveled a warrior, you're chilling in your contender's gear, wondering what to do next. What you do is you try to get as much resilience as possible to stay in those fights, get those honor points, and not die. That's going to be your best bet here. So, what I'm going to do with my gems, in light of that sort of resilience-based mindset, is anywhere that I can put resilience, I'm putting resilience in there, and that means even sacrificing my jewel crafter gems. So, my meta socket is the only thing that doesn't have resilience in it, because you can only have, or at least I have, 216 strength and 3% increased critical effect. And everything else, it's going to look like this. Your red sockets, 80 strength, 160 PvP Resil. Of course, that doesn't have a gem slot in it. Any yellows, it's going to be a flat 320 Resil. No gems. Once again, we see a red socket and yellow socket. 80 strength, 160 Resil. Boom, 320 resilience. Any prismatic sockets that you might get from being a blacksmith, or by gemming your belt, or by putting that extra socket on your belt, it's going to get 320 PvP Resil. Blues, 160 Resil, 160 PvP power. I went with PvP power here. I mean, you can probably put some other stuff in there. Might not be as good though. So, PvP power, it's an easy place to pick up a little bit of it, but of course you want Resil in there as well. And that prismatic socket, it's going to get 320 Resil as well. So, blue and prismatic, you're going to get 160 PvP power, 160 Resil, 320 Resil in the yellow. Same thing, red and blue, 80 strength, 160 Resil, 160 PvP power, 160 Resil in the blue. So, pretty simple. Putting 320 Resil anywhere that would make sense. And now, you'll notice here, I'm not foregoing my socket bonuses. I'm not stacking 320 Resil in every socket. I like my socket bonuses. I like the extra 60 resilience, or the 120 resilience, and even the strength. That matters. I like it. I want those extra stats because those count. So, even if you do decide to go PvP power or a lot of strength, I would definitely encourage you to not sacrifice your socket bonuses. That is extra stats on top of what you've got, and those extra stats can make a difference. So, even if you're going PvP power, even if you're gonna do that sort of thing, make sure you're not just 320 PvP power in every socket. I don't think that's as good. But if you are gonna do that, it's not that hard. Like, if you do want to go PvP power, done it before. What you do is you put 80 strength, 160 PvP power in your reds. In your yellows, you're gonna do this gem. You're gonna do the same one that we used for our blues. It's gonna be 160 PvP power, 160 resilience. Then in your blues and prismatics for PvP power, you're gonna be putting those 320 PvP power in both of them. So, if that makes sense, that's what I've done when I do PvP power. But right now I'm using resilience because it lets me be more effective in arena, and maybe even RBGs as an arms warrior, because you're going to be right in there, you're going to be getting hit. So, that's what I've got in terms of my gems. Lots of resilience. It counts. I couldn't, you know, float, you know, 2-3% to get a more even balance between my PvP power and Resil, but I'm happy with this. I could change it. This is just what I'm doing right now. So in terms of my reforging ideas, my general mindset here is to have the values of my hit and expertise be as bare minimum as possible to put more stats somewhere else. What you need for hit as an arms warrior is you need 3% hit. I'm 3.26. I might be able to get that a little lower. I'm not really sure because I haven't done a lot of testing on it, but maybe. My expertise is 6.01. That's pretty damn close to what you need. You only need 6. And the reason why you have 6 expertise is so you don't get dodged or parried by casters. Rogues are going to dodge you. Strength classes are going to parry you. Or not even, or I should just say agility classes are going to dodge you. And with the exclusion of monks, monks can parry too. Maybe even rogues might parry you. Who knows? But agility classes are going to dodge. Strength classes are going to parry. It's going to happen. But you do not want to get parried or dodged by like a shadow priest. That's going to be pretty lame. So that's why you have the 6% expertise. After you get those stats, I'm going to put everything else that I possibly can into crit. And then everything else after that is going to go into mastery. So that's what I'm thinking with my arms reforging. And how I do that, how I get the stats that you see right here. You could maybe find a more efficient way of doing this, but that's what I do. I reforge from expertise into crit on my helm. I reforge from expertise into mastery on my neck piece. My shoulders, I reforge out of haste into crit. You want, like I said, you want crit everywhere, but sometimes you're going to have items that already have crit on them, like the cape or whatever. I mean, plenty of things. So what you're going to try to do is reforge into useful stats. Definitely want to reforge out of haste. That's like your #1 reforge out of thing. If it has haste on it, reforge the haste. So here I'm going to reforge out of haste into mastery because I already got crit on it, so I'm just going to go mastery. Here I'm going to leave that one alone. And I'm also going to leave my gloves alone. I'm going to leave my belt alone because it's got crit mastery. Can't ask for more than that. I'm going to reforge out of the haste on my legs into mastery. Bro, you trying to... You better keep your elixir of giant's growth on, man. Making a video, you gotta look swole. Alright. I'm gonna leave my boots alone. And my little crit haste ring, I'm gonna reforge out of the haste into hit. And in my hit mastery ring, I'm gonna reforge out of the hit into the crit. If you guys aren't human, you're gonna have a free action trinket, or you're gonna need one. And I recommend getting the resilience crit one. That's gonna give you a lot of crit. But since I'm a human, I'm just going to use the other damage one because it's pretty nice. And of course, I'm using the other trinket. Can't do anything to those stats. And I'm leaving my sword alone because I like that crit. When I get my other one for Fury, I'm considering going either hit or mastery on the reforge for it. When I do Titan's Grip Fury, but we'll see. I guess I could do like a whole. Maybe I'll do another video on Fury. The way I tend to think about Fury, just if you guys are curious, you either go. Was it hit crit? Yeah, you either go a hit crit build or an expertise mastery build. Sometimes you want those white hits to hit and crit and enrage you using your bloodthirst. I hear it for PvE, crit's the thing. Or you can go expertise mastery, just make sure your yellow hits hit and deal a bazillion damage. So that's kind of how I consider it. But before we get into that, this is pretty much the way I gem and reforge my warrior. You want your hit and expertise to be as low as possible so you can pour stats into your crit, and then after that your mastery if you can't get crit. And in my gems, lots of resilience so you can stay in that fight, have tons of uptime, tons of damage, and tons of pressure. So now we can move over to the talents. What I'm doing right now is I'm using a Warbringer as my charge talent. Although Juggernaut's fine, double time has its place and its purpose. If you like double time, use it. Right now I'm just using Warbringer for fun. But the thing about the charge talents is they're all pretty good, so you can get away with using whatever you want. The Warbringer into Shockwave stun is pretty fun, though. I must admit, it's a really solid peel and a really solid offensive stun, too. So, Warbringer's looking strong. I like Juggernaut for the mobility. Double time is really good if you want to just ping-pong all over the map, or want to have charges usable just whenever you feel like they're needed. So, you can use any of those and be just fine. Right now, I'm using Warbringer. In this tree, Second Wind is pretty much the only thing you're going to be using for PvP. It's very, very strong. It allows you, if you're in a bad spot, you get in defensive stance, start LOSing, and even if your healer can't help you out, you get to 35% health, which might be a somewhat manageable health pool to work with. Plus, if you're taking a lot of pressure, you can regen some of that health back. People really freak out about second wind. It is a strong ability, but you often have mortal strike effects on you, so it's not actually you're not actually getting a 3% heal, but it's still good. It's still your best talent, so you should probably stick with that. Staggering shout. All of these are pretty good. Disrupting shout is really good if you're going to be running like a cleavey thing, like kitty cleave. Works really well with disrupting shout. Piercing howl, I used to love it, but I've really been enjoying using staggering shout recently. Just helps me use helps with a lot of control, helps peeling and keeping somebody in place, especially if you're playing KFC. You root them right out in the open, so your hunter can rail on them. It's pretty neat. And what you can do with that is I'll show you with my glyphing. My glyphs kind of work with this spec too, because I do use hindering strikes, so you can just cleave, root 2 people at the same time. If it's like a melee cleave, if you root them both and they can't get out of it, it's a really effective peel. In this talent, Cheery, I wish Bladestorm was better. Dragon Roar is kind of funny, but Shockwave is too good to pass up. It's getting nerfed next patch, which really sucks, because Shockwave is my favorite ability in the whole game. But it's such a strong peel, such a strong control mechanism, such a strong offensive ability with the stun and the damage. If you pop cooldowns on Shockwave, it deals quite a bit of damage, so Shockwave is a no-brainer here for this tree, at least for PvP. In this tree, Mass Spell Reflection has its place, perhaps, but Safeguard, not only does it get you out of roots, it also provides your teammates with a damage reduction, so that is so good. I used Mass Spell Reflection for a little while. I've switched over to Safeguard for most of the season, and I've loved it, never looked back. Vigilance, it's not for PvP. You're just both gonna die. That's pretty much what happens with that. In this last tree, Stormbolt, it's a pretty cool control ability. If you're playing with a class like a Shadow Priest, maybe, where their burst is gonna be what lands the kill, then go ahead, be that stun spec warrior and control the rest of the team while your Shadow Priest one-shots people. Bloodbath, it seemed like a cool ability. I wish it was better, but apparently it double dips in resilience, which means that your damage is going to be reduced a lot by using this ability. It could have been cool for like the slow effect, if it was, because it's an undispellable slow. But I mean, the only people that really have to worry about that is with like a Feral, and Feral can just shift it, I'm pretty sure. So it doesn't really deal that much damage. It is kind of cool because it's on the same 1-minute cooldown as your trinket now, but at the same time, I feel like it still pales in comparison to Avatar. Avatar is a huge damage buff. You can break roots with it, so if you're in a root and you're going to pop cooldowns anyway, you get out of the root and get to deal a lot of damage. So that's pretty cool. That's my favorite. I've pretty much used Avatar all expansion, and I really enjoy it. So this is what I'm doing with my talents right now. A couple things to mention about my glyphs. So if you are going to use Warbringer, right now it does not work with Blitz, so do not use Warbringer and Blitz together. If you spec Warbringer, you need to change your glyphs a little bit. So what I decided to do is I decided to go with Glyph of Colossus Smash. Puts a Sunder Armor every time you Colossus Smash. I used it last season, loved it. It's doing really well right now, it seems like, too. So a little bit of extra damage, a little bit extra utility if you're running like 2 physical damage dealers in 3s, like if you're running with a Feral. Feral might put a Fairy Fire on anybody anyway, but like if you're running KFC 2 or TSG, the extra Colossus Smash will help out a lot, so that's pretty cool. I've used Glyph of Death from Above forever. I think it's awesome. The reduced cooldown on Heroic Leap is so good. The damage is nice too. Even though this is going to get nerfed, the damage component next patch is not going to be there. I'm probably still going to use it just because 15 seconds off of Heroic Leap cooldown is so nice. I'm also using Glyph of Hindering Strikes because that works really well with the instead of hamstringing 2 people, you can just cleave them with Staggering Shout. Plus, if I use Heroic Strike quite often, and if it's applying my slow for me, that's nice too. So if I'm in a Heroic Strike, I might as well apply a slow. I like that a lot. There's other glyphs that you could have chosen, I suppose, like maybe Bull Rush is pretty cool. And I've tried Enraged Speed, it doesn't really do much. Everything else, like Overpower, I know that Swiftly likes Overpower a lot because he likes to cleave and hit hard with Overpower. People have experimented with Recklessness Glyph, I don't really like it. Unending Rage is kind of neat, gives you extra 20 rage, but honestly, like, there's some kind of cool glyphs, but these are my favorite by far, so that's what I'm using right now. These glyphs, they don't really do anything special. It's just for looks. I like that my Victory Rush, like whenever I use it, it makes your character beefed up. I mean, I'm using a Elixir of Giant's Growth. I like it. I like just having like a big ass character. It looks pretty cool. Glyph of Gushing Wounds, it makes your stuff bloodier. I like that. It kind of bummed me out when they took out like a lot of the bleed like actual animations and stuff. So having like a bloody or bleed is cool. And Glyph of Burning Anger, it just looks badass. Your character catches on fire when you get enraged. I mean, how cool is that? So that's what I'm using right now for my glyphs and talents. We already went over, I mean, obviously with Spec Arms, there's not really much involved with the spec anymore. I'm not going to do much about Fury right now, because we can make another one for Fury, but that's basically my talents, my glyphs, and my my gems and reforging right now on my warrior. So really hope you guys enjoy that video. I know I don't make these kind of like guide-ish videos very often, but I really don't mind doing it. I just need to hear it from you that you want them, because it's not a video I sort of naturally make, because I'm like, I mean, like, I don't know if I need to, people don't care like how I play the game, you know. I don't want to tell you how you should play the game, but I mean, I'm happy to share, if that's how we're gonna phrase it, I'm happy to share, you know, what I'm doing with the game with you guys, as long as you don't feel like I'm trying to tell you how to play the game. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching, and happy Valentine's Day from Jenny and I. Peace!